Hello, everybody. Uh, People around the world have a lot of phobias, but can you guess what kind of phobia is in this picture? Okay, today I want to talk about aviophobia. Aviophobia is the fear of flying, feeling of not being in control. It often occurs with anxiety disorder, depression, or substance abuse. And also it is really hard to overcome because when we were watching the news and the TV, we always know about news about terrorism or airplane accidents, and it is really hard to overcome. The statistics in United States is 20% of the population have aviophobia and 15% experience great anxiety. In my country, Colombia, 10% of the population have aviophobia and 30% feel great anxiety. But the most interesting is like this 10% of the Colombian people, they never had been take a airplane. They are scared to do it. Um, I just want to say that air travel is really safe, and these people with aviophobia needs to know that air travel is the safe travel in the world, and 0.03 deaths per million passengers, an accident in a million travelers, 29 times safer than traveling by car, 18 times safer than being at home, 10 times safer than being at work, 8 times safer than walking down the street, and 6 times more likely to be killed by a spouse or other family. Uh, in the world, there are a lot of safe and dangerous airlines. The safe airlines are located in United States, Canada, and West Europe. And one of the safest airlines is located in South America. And this is really interesting because it is located in Bolivia. And Bolivia is the one of the most poorest countries in the hemisphere. And all this time, like, this airline started 15 years ago, and there are only 36 people killed for accidents in this country. And the dangerous airline was located in China, Russia, Africa, and Korea. And one of the most dangerous airlines is what is Thailand Chinese Airlines. This airline in China and Taiwan has a percent of 7 accidents per year. This is really incredible. I think it's too much. People who suffer from aviophobia. I researched something about Megan Fox, and I know everybody know who is Megan Fox. She's really popular now for Transformers and some other movies. And she said that she suffered aviophobia, but she overcame this phobia by listening music from Britney Spears. I found this really interesting because listen music from Britney Spears is, I don't know, for me it's like a kind of crazy, but every single person have different methods to overcome his fears. Okay, my brother-in-law in Spain, he has also aviophobia. He is married with my sister there, and he had never been in Colombia because he's scared to take an airplane. And it's obvious all my family want to meet him, but he doesn't want to go. And he's also thinking about alternative transportation like a boat or something like that. So my other example is my aunt in Colombia. I have a story with my aunt when I was in Colombia and last December. I went to the airport and I bought some tickets for my mom, my nieces, nephews, my aunt, and the airplane. And when we were in the airport, she was scared. My aunt was scared, and she was so nervous, blah blah. And after that, when we were in the airplane, she was like sweating and nervous and crying, and I get so scared, and I promise never do this again. And treatments: drug therapy with benzodiazepines. This is the most common drug for aviophobia, but doctor says that this is not really good for your health, and you need to find another ways. Relaxation techniques for meditation. You can meditate at home and try to relax, and for long time you can overcome this problem. Cognitive behavior therapy, like when you were talking about aviophobia, you fear of flying, you first need to go to the airport, watch a airplane, walk in the airport a lot of times, and finally you get in the airplane. This is a long process, but it's really good. And natural herbals, like the most famous is Incarnata, Scutelliana, and Valerian. You can find this medicine, these herbals, in all the stores almost, and this is really good. Uh, like conclusion, I want to say that aviophobia is not an impediment to travel. It's like if you want to travel, you can go in the train, you can go in the bus, you can go in the motor, you can go in car, or also in a bike. But it's like this is not an impediment to travel if you have aviophobia, and you can have a good time, you can go wherever you want, and you can enjoy your life. Thank you. Bye.